Alright, so in this video, set of videos, we're going to go over midpoint and distance formula. It's really just plugging in numbers for the formula, and then eventually we're going to apply that to circles and how to find the equation of the circle. Alright, so the first one we're talking about is midpoint. Really, the biggest thing I want you guys to focus on is right here. Yes, so the biggest thing is right here is the word average. You should know that the average is just adding two numbers and dividing by 2. But midpoint is used to find the center. So here's our 2 points, and that's the midpoint, right in the middle. And this will be used to find, if we know the endpoints of a center of the diameter, we can find the center. It's just halfway in between. Alright, so we're going to find the midpoint in these two. I'm going to set up the equations. You don't really have to all the time. I'm just going to do it to kind of help us out. So first we're going to take 2 plus 4 divided by 2 and 5 plus negative 3 divided by 2, and that's my 2 points. So 2 plus 4 is 6 divided by 2, and that's 3. Comma 5 plus negative 3, that's actually going to be 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So there's the midpoint. Alright, we're going to find the midpoint, so negative 3 plus 1 divided by 2, and 8 plus negative 5 divided by 2. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 8 plus negative 5 is 3, and I'm just going to believe that's 1.5. If you were to write 3 over 2, that's the same thing. I would accept either one of those, but that's what we get for that one. Over here we get 9 plus negative 2 divided by 2, and then comma 1 plus negative 5 divided by 2. So we get 9 plus negative 2, that's actually 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. And then 1 plus negative 5 is going to be negative numbers, so we negative 4 and negative 2. Negative 4 divided by 2. Alright, once again we'll find the midpoint, so 0 plus 5 divided by 2, and then 4 plus negative 2 divided by 2. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. And then 4 plus negative 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So there's my midpoint. 5 plus negative 3 divided by 2, and 0 plus 6 divided by 2. 5 plus negative 3 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 0 plus 6 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's the midpoint. Alright, here we got 9 plus negative 3 to find the midpoint, and 7 plus 7 divided by 2. 9 plus negative 3 would be 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 7 plus 7 is 14. Half of 14 is back to 7. Right here, 5 plus negative 5 over 2. 4 plus negative 4 divided by 2. Well, 5 plus negative 5 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is still 0. 4 plus negative 4 is 0 again. Divided by 0, so my midpoint of that one is going to be your origin. Alright, now we're going to find the distance. It's a little more complicated. We've talked about this in the past, about creating, just like this, creating the right triangle, counting the number here, counting here, and then use the Pythagorean theorem. X squared plus, oh not x squared, a squared, sorry. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like this is being a, this is being c, and the pounded is being c. But this is as if we get 2 points. If you're able to graph these would be a lot easier, but it really isn't. We're not able to, so we're going to go from our 2 points. So I'm going to do the first one right now. So the formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1. So the important thing about this is to label it. The first number can be x1, the second number is y1, this is x2, y2. Please make sure to label them correctly. If you were to put over here, put x2 and y2, and over here, x1 and y1, that's fine, but don't put x1 and y2. So we're going to do x2, 4 minus 2. All I'm doing is plug numbers in. X2 goes as 4, x1 goes here, here, and here. Squared plus y2 is negative 3 minus 5 squared. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Negative 3 minus 5 is 8. That's negative 8, but negative 8 squared is 64. We're going to get square root of 68. You can leave it like that, or depending on the directions, if it said leave it in simplest form, you can actually figure that out to be about 8 point, we'll say 8.2. So both those are acceptable in my opinion. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is label, so x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we're going to go through the formula. You should have the formula written down, so it should be x2, that's 1, minus negative 3. So when you do minus negative 3, that's minus negative 3. It only changes when the second number is negative, not all the time. plus, then we got negative 5. You can see it's still staying as a negative here, as a minus right here. We only changed this because it's negative. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Negative 5 minus 8 will be negative 13. Negative 5 minus 8, negative 13. I square that number, I get 169. I add those two numbers together, the square root of 185. You can leave it like this, or you can give me square root of 185 and tell me it's 13.6. Both those are good. Same thing over here, x1, y1, x2, y2. I get the square root. x2 is negative 2 minus 9 squared plus negative 5 minus 1 squared. I get negative 2 minus 9, which is negative 11. Negative 11 squared is 121. Negative 5 minus 1 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Remember, guys, I don't really care if this number comes out to be negative because these numbers will always be positive, hands down. Take 121 plus 36. I get the square root of 157. I'm going to figure out that number. It's 12.5. Guys, when you're doing this, do as much as you can on here on your paper. Don't if you try to plug this on your calculator, you're probably going to get it wrong. Please try to do this, because right there I just did simple mental math. Please do that. Alright, we got to find the distance, so label x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we're going to plug them in the formula. x2 is 5 minus 0 squared plus negative 2 minus 4, 20 squared. 5 minus 0 is 5, plus our squared is 25. Negative 2 minus 6 is 6, or negative 2 minus 4 is 6. That's 36. 25 plus 36. That's square root of 61. The answer is 7.8. Both these would be fine in my opinion. Alright, once again, x1, y1, x2, y2. The square root, negative 3 minus 5 squared plus 6 minus 0 squared. That's 36. 6 squared. This will be 64. Oops, not 64 squared, just 64. 64 plus 36. You might get lucky sometimes. It's the square root of 100, which is 10. You might get lucky sometimes it comes out to be a perfect square, but that's rare. But sometimes it does. Alright, last one of just finding the distance. Go ahead and label everything. Make life a lot easier. So negative 3 minus 9 squared plus 7 minus 7. 7 minus 7 is 0, so that's 0. Negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12. It comes out to be 144, so 144 square root equals 12. There we go. Then we got negative 5 minus 5 squared plus negative 4 minus 4 squared. This comes out to be negative 10, so 100. Plus negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. 64 equals square root of 164. 164. And give me 12.8. There's 8 right there. There we go. Alright, so we have to do a few things. We have to find the center, find the radius, and write the equation of the circle. We have to do 3 things. So first, to find the center, you must find the midpoint. That's the first thing we learned today. So you have to take 2 plus negative 4 divided by 2, and then 3 plus 7 divided by 2. Well, 2 plus negative 4 is negative 2, so that's 1, because negative 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my center. And to find the radius, we should find the distance. Now, this is your choice. You must use 1, 5. You must use that. Then you can choose any point you want. You can use 2, 3 or negative 4, 7. It will give you the same answer. I'm going to use 2, 3 because that small numbers and excludes my negatives. So I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. Do square root 2 minus 1 squared plus 3 minus 5 squared. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is still 1. Plus 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So my answer is square root of 5. I'm going to leave it as a square root of 5, and I'll show you why in a second. So that means my equation is going to be x minus 1, if you remember that, plus y minus 5. Then it's going to be simply 5. Because remember, the number here is r squared. If r is 5, if I square both of these, it cancels out and just leaves me with 5. So there's my answer. Alright, so we're finding these three things for these two problems. Remember, this is midpoint. This is distance. You should write these down. And then we're going to use those two answers to write the equation. So the first thing we're going to do is find the midpoint. So that's the center. So center is -2 plus -8. It's going to be -10. So that means -5. -6 plus 5, -1. So, oops, sorry. -6 plus 5 divided by 2. So that's going to be -0.5. Okay, great. Alright, and then we have to now find the distance. Radius. So you can pick either one. I don't know. Let's do this one. They're both negatives. So I'm going to quickly go through this. So -5 plus 2, it becomes plus because that's a negative, squared plus -0.5 plus 6 squared. Okay, let's go through this. So -5 plus 2. This is going to be 9. So -0.5 plus 6. Oops, not that. This is going to give me an answer that's 30.25. This comes out to be 5.5, and 5.5 squared is this. So 30.25 plus 9 is going to be 39.25. Now, I would recommend leaving it like this, and the reason why is because my equation is going to be x plus 5, 20 squared, plus y plus 0.5 equals, and then this number right there will be 39.25. Alright, fractions are not fun, but still have to come across them. Alright, last one, -3 plus 4 is 1, and that's 1/2. This is going to be my center. 5 plus -9 is -4, so it's -2. So that's my center. Let's use this one and this one. So 4 minus 0.5 squared, -2 plus 9 squared. So we take 4 minus 0.5, you get 3.5, and your square you get 12.25 plus -2 plus 9 plus 49. 49 plus 12.25, you're going to get 61.25. So let's plug this into our equation. You get x minus 0.5 plus y plus 2, and that's going to equal the number that's going to go right there is going to be 61.25. There we go. Alright, so we're going to do this last problem. We're going to find the center, which is your midpoint, your radius, which is your distance, and then we're going to take those numbers, 3 numbers, you get 2 numbers for the center, 1 number for the radius, and plug it into the equation. So let's find the center first. Center is just find the radius, or find the midpoint. So 0 plus -4 is -4, divided by 2, it'll be -2. 5 plus 8 would be 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. Once again, we get to pick, so I'm going to use this one and this one. So square root, we're going to go -2 minus 0 squared plus 6.5 minus 8. Well, not 8, sorry. 5 squared. So it'd be 4 because -2 minus 0 is still -2. 6.5 minus 5 is 1.5. 1.5 squared is 2.25. Add those together, it's not 8. Equals 6.25. And we're going to leave it just like that. Because when I write my equation, which is right here, it's going to be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 6.5 squared equals 6.25. There we go. Alright, find the center first. Center is -6 plus 3. We get -1.5. -3 plus 0 is also -1.5. I'm going to use that one. So we're going to take -1.5 minus 3. -1.5 minus 0. This is finding the radius. So -1.5 minus 3. When I square this, it gets 20.25. This is 2.25. Add those two numbers together. 22.5. Alright, so I'm going to do is I'm going to erase some stuff. So just see it really quick, and now it's gone. The answer now is going to be x plus 1.5 squared plus y plus 1.5 squared equals 22.5. And there we go. Because it would actually be that.